Okay, we're out here again, breaking records. This morning, Pixel Rick and I were brainstorming some new ideas on his stream about better methods of going about the speedrun challenge that we've set ourselves. He managed to beat my previous world record time of 16:55 and got it down to a 16:36. We think we've come up with the perfect strategy to maximize speedruns, and it's now all just coming down to the RNG factor. The basis for the entire build is if the boss can't move, it can't fight. So the aim is to impair the boss with as many status effects as possible in order to speed up the fights and skip certain parts where the boss should be staggered and changing form. The build is centered around the Lucky Sword, the Endless Pockets, Stagger Dice, the Great Weapon Master trait, and the Death of 1,000 Cuts trait, with bonuses being if you can get some additional luck. So I'll talk you through the way I've gone about the challenge this time. We discussed whether or not luck was that important when trying to get your lucky sword. It's about an 8% chance if you're running Great Weapon Master on a gamble to pick up the Lucky Sword. So we discussed whether or not to just save the save time by skipping out on getting the Lucky Fountain and using it. Whereas what I have elected to do in my runs is to play the luck anyway when I'm opening chests, and then just hope. As you see here, it took me 2 goes, which wasn't too bad, but because I got the 250 gold chest, that really made a huge difference in your ability to quickly get the sword. We worked out it needed to be about by 2 minutes. If you've got the sword in about 2 minutes, you're pretty well set to have a good time. And so from here, I know that I've got my sword, and so I'm good to start trying to stack it up. So the next part is making sure I have the luck to be able to use the sword. So in Pixel's runs, what we ended up doing was, or he ended up doing, not we, but he ended up doing was going to the Souls Warden, and that way allowing him to get the luck from there, which is helpful, but you don't have the sword for the very first fight. So what I chose to do instead is to go out to the castle, because not the castle, but to the Tufta Castle, because I knew that there's another fountain very close by, and then use the luck to then start looking through the chests. And it was running the risk of increasing the mana of the Lucky Sword. So it was kind of a risk versus reward situation. As you see there, thankfully having the secondary card meant that the it got its mana increased by 3 rather than the Lucky Sword. So I actually got chanced there. It was a 50-50 on me really making the run harder for myself than it needed to be. And for me personally, I always like to take a health relic just in case. And yeah, so then I'm now on the hunt for the Endless Pockets and the Stagger Dice. That would be the perfect run if I could have both of those items. And luckily here, I pick up the Stagger Dice, which is great. Well, they're called Skull Bashers Dice, but we know them by what they do, not by their actual names. Same with the Lucky Sword. And then I am now just hunting for the Endless Pockets, the armor that gives you for every 5 coins, 1% bonus weapon damage. I'm pretty sure is what it does. So again, it's just trying to get my way through and around, and having the basis for the build already there made me very, I suppose, excited to actually get it to work early anyway, as opposed to having to run the RNG multiple times. Because again, the 8% chance does make this a little bit more annoying. However, I'm finding that I'm picking up the sword a lot quicker. That may have just been the first couple of runs and beginner's luck, I guess. So here I'm just making sure clear the goblins, the Tufta. Tufta doesn't sound right. I'm just going to call them goblins. I say that every time. There I elected to go with the captured flame because of actually here, because I got the 4 mana, I've then decided I'm going to actually go to the tier, which I hadn't planned on doing. So I skip out on the chest and I just run to try and get the endless pockets here, and I'm ignoring the chest because I want to get the sword happening as quick as possible. I had planned on opening everything else up and then going out and skipping the tier until the second boss, but I decided against that. And here I didn't get the endless pockets, but the Blaze brand made me think that maybe I didn't need it, because the Blaze brand's effect is when you've made something burning, you're then frenzied, so you're doing increased damage during that time. And then if you also add on to the captured flame, you get 5% focus every time there is an enemy is burning. And so in my head that meant that as they're burning, I'm getting the focus. I'll then be able to be using my I can't even think what it's called off the top of my head. Using my focus to then my surge, that's its name, surge. Using my surge to then increase my damage, so being frenzied and surge to do increased damage again. So not needing to have the pockets, although the pockets would have made this run significantly faster. So I do expect further times to still come in. So again, now that I had the Undetermined Fate, that's what it's called, Lucky Sword able to be used, I just decided to run straight to the boss and go from there, because I had the cards I needed to get a run happening, and in order to preserve some time or save some time, sometimes you just got to go. So that's what I did. I just went. At this point, I'm deciding what I'm going to do after the first boss, because the first boss is relatively easy. And so I was deciding in my head whether or not I was going to go fight the witch second, which is what I do end up doing, just to get, because I had those other cards that needed a lot of mana. And so by fighting the witch next, that gives me the chance to, to use the cards. For one, and just to speed up the process perhaps a little bit more. So rather than relying at the end of the third warden to fight 3 bosses in a row without healing, given that you only have your 250 health, and as you can see they're completely demolished, and that's what I'm talking about by skipping out on if it's under some effect. Sometimes when it's got a status effect, the boss doesn't do its its charge up to change its form, or change its change its form. And so here I went Tomb of Dust instead, and so that way I could go straight out towards the witch. Here I not very quickly, play my the cards that I know I can get away with. So Captured Flame being getting the focus on a burning target, or when a target's burning, which I should be doing relatively regularly. And I did get lucky here with there being a grave. That doesn't happen every game or every round. With what came out of the grave being extremely useful. And as you can see, the Great Weapon Master being the key part of any run. I do think that the Lucky Sword isn't necessary, I do think the Crowd Breaker could potentially outmatch the Lucky Sword, just because of its pure damage potential. However, the fact that you freeze the bosses so regularly, that we'll see. We'll do a run at some point using that instead. And so here I quickly try and get the different bits. Go for the coins here because that powers up. Well, it doesn't power up two things. It should, but it doesn't because I don't have the endless pockets. And then here, the Pin of the Apothecary was a key part here because attacks against things affected by status effects give you 75% more focus. So because you're causing so many status effects, it should mean that your focus gain is incredibly high, thus giving me the option of counteracting the fact I didn't have the endless pockets. And so I didn't get any glitched runs, unlike my other world record attempt where I had the Tomb of Dust door just open there for whatever reason. Again, I like going Dust and Frost by choice because they move the least, I guess, because their 5 attacks are relatively easy to parry away from. However, when bosses are frozen, a lot of time they do continue moving, and I don't know why. But as you see, they're skipped past his change form stage very, very quickly. Which is again why potentially there's the argument of whether or not Crowd Breaker will or will not be better. It potentially is if you've got endless pockets. Without endless pockets, I don't think it would be. And so here it just leaves me to fight the troll as well as the frost warden. So that saves a little bit of time and doesn't means I don't have to worry as much about my health fighting 3 bosses in a row. Especially given I'm not nearly as good as others at parrying away from boss damage, as you'll see in a moment. I almost get one shot. You'd think I should have dodged that, and then I got very lucky with I'm not sure, a glitch in the matrix maybe. But that would have potentially killed me. But as you can see, complete obliteration. And you'll see me fat finger again because I didn't realize I'd clicked the timer. So I do have a timer coming up later just to show, but you'd have, because my timer's not quite where it should be. But I didn't realize this until the end of my run, and that made me a little bit upset that it wasn't going to be as easy to just record the video, record the voiceover. I've gotten very frustrated trying to come up with a way to put a timer on the screen because I'm no pro video maker, that's for sure. This is not my day job. But yeah, it was at this point very similar to in Pixel's run that I knew it had the chance of being a world record run. I knew it wasn't going to be a sub 15. I did lose a potential sub 15 a couple of runs prior to this. I lost to the Betrayer of all things, which was very frustrating. But considering the Betrayer should not be what you lose a run to. If you're going to lose a run, it should be to the Troll, as he is much more difficult, in my opinion. There is another grave here, but I don't elect to actually go to it. You'll see here that he starts attacking through Frozen, which can be very annoying. As I do get... I'll not maybe... Do I get close to death in this part? We'll find out in a moment. No, I don't think I get close to death in this. I think I kill him from here. So So I didn't get the skip through here. So again, that's another place where some time could be saved if you manage to get the skip through every single boss. But that obliteration at the end is basically half health and just dead. So coming up, you'll see my dodgy attempt at a timer. It's just going to count the time of the fight and then add it together. I did re-watch the footage earlier before posting and redid my splits, but I didn't know how to put that as a video, so this is what you got. This is what you've got. At this point I realized I'd stuffed up and I didn't know what my time was going to end up being, so I was very much so I think that probably made the fight a little bit better or worse, I'm not sure. The start of the fight was a little bit dodge, but then it picked up. I end up skipping through two of the both actually stages. So here I almost die and I was like, great. But from this point, it's happy days. The Betrayer can't do anything if it's stuck on the floor, frozen. Which you'll see consistently that just jumps through different stages. So then if I was to add the 108 onto my time, I think it was like 108 and 2, so that's why I put it at 1633. But yeah, there you have it. That's the new world record, the new meta that we're both running with. I imagine that it's going to continue to get broken further, especially if we can get a run going that just is all the 5, your perfect storm, perfect cards, all happening all at once. But until that point, there's a new world record again. It's only been a few hours since Pixel made his. I'm sorry, but I'm sure we'll continue. Thank you.